Hello everyone, I'm out on a walk in my little village. There's the town church and some of the buildings. I go on a certain walk in my village. Oh wow, alrighty. Okay, the bell stopped. Okay, in this video I'd like to talk about guilt in the present. I've already talked about guilt in the past, and I'm going to put a link to that video down in the comments if you'd like to look at that. But what guilt in the present is, it's actually very simple. It's when our beliefs, our personal beliefs, are in contrast with society's beliefs. And how it usually manifests itself is that we want to do something personally, and society or the people in our lives are telling us otherwise, that we should be doing something else, or we should want to do something else, or we have to do something else, right? So what we want, what we really, really want deep inside, what's going to make us happy, what we need, what we feel, that is in contrast with what society or the people in our lives or the people growing up told us that we should want or need or feel, okay? So another way to look at guilt in the present is basically little shames. My behavior right now isn't good enough. My behavior right now isn't good enough. My behavior isn't good enough. What I'm doing isn't good enough. My behavior isn't good enough. My behavior isn't good enough. My behavior isn't good enough. You know, because shame is this feeling of not being good enough. And it's a more deeper feeling of like, I am not good enough. Well, what guilt is my behavior right now isn't good enough. And why would we feel that our behavior isn't good enough? Because our beliefs of what we want to do is in contrast, it's conflicting with what society says we should want to do, or that we should do, or the people in our lives, or the people who raised us, right? And so I was feeling guilt right now, because until now, the COVID restrictions have said that you only have to wear a mask in towns over 10,000 people. Well, my town has been exempt from that law, but I think it's changed. Like, it looks like it has changed, but I wasn't following the law. I was not wearing a mask like usual on this walk. And so I felt guilt. My behavior isn't good enough. 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 And it harasses us. Like, that feeling sucks. And who feels the most guilt? Well, it's empathic people, it's highly sensitive people, because it's us who's feeling the beliefs and the expectations from society. We're feeling what other people want us to do, right? And that's in conflict with what we want to do. Okay, so often what we empathic people do is we then give in. I can't handle this feeling of guilt, this feeling that my behavior isn't good enough, my behavior isn't good enough, my behavior isn't good enough. So we give in and we do what other people want us to do. But there's another way, there's another answer to guilt, another thing that we can do. When I was a young mother, I felt so much guilt. Basically, no matter what I was doing, I felt guilt. I felt guilty when I was on the toilet. I felt guilt when I was cooking. I felt guilty when I was cleaning. I felt guilty when I was with my child. I felt guilty when I was not with my child. And so what I did is I decomposed my guilt into all the different kinds of guilt. What kind of guilt is this? What kind of guilt is that? And I read a lot of sociology, and I found out what are the societal beliefs and expectations directed at mothers, and how are these societal beliefs and expectations conflicting with my own personal beliefs and expectations. And I did a lot of research, and I looked at the big picture, and then I decided, what do I believe? Why does society believe that? Like, why is there this conflict? Where's this belief coming from? Why are they telling us this? Is it true? Do I have to believe it? What are the consequences of believing the one thing versus believing the other thing? And then by the end, I could realize this is what I believe. Even if it's different from what society believes, this is what I believe. And I was at peace with it. And I could then behave in the way that I wanted to behave. I figured out what my personal beliefs were, what my personal expectations were of myself, and I could live my life in that way and no longer have any guilt. And so I hope this gave you some perspective as to what guilt is and how we can intellectually address it so that we can figure out why society believes what society believes, what we really believe, and we can resolve this conflict in our mind so that we can live our lives the way that we want to live it and no longer feel painful emotions like guilt. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you'd like me to help you with your primary emotions like shame and guilt, and your secondary emotions like anxiety, depression, or anger. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.